Welcome, my dear friends. This is Morpheus again with you to improve your trading, help you with your financial independence, whether you're looking for part-time income or even take this full-time. I'm going to show you how to do it by the book without relying on luck, but on logic, math, and statistics. As you can see, filming you on location. Different look, different maybe sound, but same old Morpheus trying to do you good, trying to bring you some knowledge without any kind of hype. The chats are open right now for any kind of questions that you might, visitors of the channel, or Henry or Donald, my regulars. If you guys want to, answer, ask any questions, get some answers, to get full answers without BS, something that's logical, drop a comment right now. Or if you see this video on the replay on the channels on Twitch, on YouTube, well, just leave a comment. I will personally answer any kind of questions, comments, or concerns. If you want one-on-one consultation, you're certainly able to do that through our Telegram channel. It's listed below. Just hit me up, and let's maybe talk about what it is you need in order what you want and what's available to you to achieve your dreams and goals. Alright, so let's hop over to today's topic of discussions, my dear friends. Today we're going to continue to dissect a little bit about what is leading and lagging indicators, and basically we're going to kind of take a look at some of the indicators that are trending versus the indicators that show reversals. Right, so essentially, anytime most of the traders that that are with us, they trade with 1 minute candles, right? But you are able to kind of play around with the time intervals. Most of you already know that if you take a look, for example, at 5 minute candle, all right, and you spot a trend, right? Actually, we got a starting of a possible trend with euro dollar today being Friday. Wow, I'm actually kind of like on a mini vacation. I'm surprised that still a weekday. I'm doing fishing today and this weekend with my kids. But we do have a 2 point contact. Let's kind of move this over here where it doesn't interfere. And essentially we got 1 point contact, 2 point contact. If the asset reaches this level one more time, we will have a 3rd point contact and a possible point of interest, right? But if that's the case, if you spot here that it's bouncing away, that means that, well, chances are it's going to continue to bounce away. And if that's the case, you're going to have a whole lot, because each one of these candles is actually 5 1 minute expirations, right? Or 10 30-second expirations, or even more if the shorter the time interval. But let's actually kind of take a look. This is at like what, 50 and 45, right? But if we go down to 1 minute candles at 50 and 45, right about here, right? There it is. Well, we see that there was a general downward trend. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, right? Essentially candle, that was, this one's green, right? There we go. So we got 4 out of 5 red. That candle is nice and big and juicy red. This one is, with 1 minute candles, is, not full red, right? We got out of 5 1 minute expiration for 1 5 minute candle. We do have 1 green one. But the shorter the time intervals, the more, the more clear idea you have which direction it goes, the sooner it becomes, right? So right now we see that there's a reversal. If we go back again to 5 minute candles, we might see there it is, right? So it does look like it's going to be going upwards a little bit. If there is a trend reversal here, we're going to see a much bigger trend reversal here. It's going to go up much longer here, and you are able to go into a position much sooner with a shorter time interval. The signals that you're going to be getting are going to be coming a little bit faster at you. So having said that, right? We're able to kind of understand that when you play around with the time intervals, you are able to spot a trend, with like 15 minutes or 10 or 5-minute candle trend starting or trend reversing, and then hop in with a 1-minute candle and watch. Actually, let's take a look right here, right? We do have also a 2-point contact here, but at 1509, there was a decent, movement upwards. So 1509, there it is, right? So also it's visible here, but maybe with different lagging indicators or leading indicators that we'll discuss throughout our journey together, we'll, kind of get an idea. But if maybe not in the euro dollar right now, maybe we can see a particularly different, move. Let's see, what do we got here? What do we got? We got some, relatively decent support level right here, but I do see a resistance level right here. We could have said that this is a 1, this is a 2, this is a 3rd point contact where it touched, let's draw it. Let's draw it. Delete everything. Let's draw this line so that maybe we're able to take a look at this together. 1 second. All right. So it's not an exact science, but we could say that this was right here kind of like a 3-point contact, right? We got 1, we got 2, it bounced away. I don't know, but in this case, there we go. This is the 3rd one, and once it broke through, we do have an idea that it's going to continue to break through. So once it broke through, this was at 1403. If we go to 1-minute candles at 1403, well, yeah, there was a bit of a kind of seesawing this particular level. It touched once more, but then it continued. And afterwards, though, it did continue for quite a while. That's actually the good thing that you want to spot. Because here's the thing, my dear friends, we need to understand that when you trade, you need to understand what kind of signals you get and how often do you get them. Right, so if you spot a trend and you go with the trend, right here we have like a really good example of just how many green candles you see here. There's going to be significantly more than red. Not forever, but from this point onwards, red right about up to here, we're able to spot. I don't know if we're able to. Let's duplicate this line. Let's see if we're able to spot a really relatively decent. There we go. Alright, so we have like a 1, 2, we got a false breakout, but this could be a 3, 4, 5, and on the 6th one it broke through. So anyways, if you're able to go with the trend is your friend for most people, right? So when they're, for most people that are trading, they might have heard of this expression, trend is your friend, and this is kind of important because it allows you to open more positions per time period. If we're looking for trend reversals, let's just assume, right, that, so you've opened the position here, there was resistance level, you broke through, you opened the position here, and then you're waiting for a trend to reverse. Now, this happened at 1423. Let's assume that, this is the next signal that you've gotten. This is actually 1441, right? So it's a seriously long time to wait for a trend to reverse, and if you're opening positions just for trend reversals. What are the indicators? We actually have a lot of leading indicators that are able to, anything from MACD, right? When it crosses the histogram, when the signal line crosses the MACD line and crosses this the 0 line in the histogram, kind of like it did here, this is your kind of understanding that maybe, yeah, that's it. The upward movement trend is coming to an end, and this might be a time to consider, that it's going to be going down, right? Consider a reversal. So, this is one of them. But, if we're looking at different, here is another signal, right? We got a crossing of the histogram and the zero line and the signal line and the MACD line, right? They're crossing right here, saying that it should be going downward. It did go downward. Here it crossed upwards, right? The histogram and the lines crossed as well, indicate further, maybe adding to the idea that there's going to be an upward movement trend. So if you're doing it with proper money management, right? I think I've shown it in some of my videos, in the previous videos, I showed you how to use a very user-friendly indicator is parabolic, parabolic SAR. We don't need to adjust it. There it is. Right, so essentially it says that anytime the asset or the dots are below the asset, you buy. Anytime they're above, you sell. And essentially what happens during this move, if we, let's say from this, from this candle, 14, what is it, 20, 26, right? And I'm not quite used to my usual equipment is a little bit more, several screens. So it is a bit small. Let's see if we're going to get, there we go, where is it? It is, yeah, 20, okay, so 26, right, 26, 27, there it is. And essentially what happens here is that if you buy on this position with a flag, essentially when you when you get this B00 the following minute, what happens is that you open the position when the candle opens, it closes at the top, it closes higher, you've made money. Here you would have lost money because it closed higher and essentially opened higher, closed lower. Obviously a red candle, you would have lost money here. Here, second step martingale, you would have lost as well. But in the third step martingale, you should have been in the money. This one in the money. This one lost, but second step in the money, in the money. Third step in the money. So in the money, in the money, in the money, lost. Second step in the money. And if we go historically speaking, here it says, he said sell. You would have won here, but you would have lost here, you would have lost here. Third step martingale here for buy, you would have made money, right? So if we go through this, and I have another video showing you where this actually kind of works very well. You get a signal every single minute. And so if you need like 15 signals, if you're looking for just trend reversals, you actually might be in front of a computer for like a couple of hours. Versus if you need 15 signals to go with the trend, right? Trend is your friend. You are able to maybe spot a reversal and then just ride the wave for like 15-20 minutes, hit your daily target of like 10% or 5%. Actually, this is another thing that is very, this is another thing that's very interesting, the whole percentage per day. Remember, one of the richest people in the world, Warren Buffett, he's like him and his company, Berkshire Hathaway, are worth $177 billion, or around that mark. This man did all of his fortune in the stock market, pretty much, right? So he bought stocks, shares of companies that are producing things, of factories, right? GE, General Motors, right? Ford. So this is something that's kind of very impressive when we're thinking that $177 billion, man, I can even maybe fit that into my mind to see the scope of how much money that is. But nevertheless, he did that and what can you get in stock market? It's about like 6 to 10% per year. If we're looking at $1,000 deposit and 10% of your balance on the daily basis, you're looking at $16,500 profit on a monthly basis. The thing is that it's actually not really that easy. You might think that, hey, 10% is nothing. Some of you guys are getting like 40, 50, 60%. I would say that that's sometimes applying luck factor. But yeah, man, the profit potential of binaries is staggering. Anyways, so when we're looking at your kind of trading, how much time you got in front of computer, how much risk you're willing to take, how much profit you're looking to receive, maybe like 5 signals per day is like way more than enough for you, right? I'm not here to judge. I'm not here to say anything against that. And actually, I'm one of those people. I'm actually trying to maybe cut back on the amount of trades, maybe improve the quality of my trades. Though sometimes, when I wake up, I don't even brush my teeth. I get a cup of coffee if my wife is out with my kids somewhere. The house is nice and quiet. I open up the platform and, I'll ride the wave. I'll find a particular currency pair with a high payout that's going to give me a potential in like 15-20 minutes of calmness to get my 5-10%. And as I mentioned, 10% per day, 1,000 becomes 17,500 or 16,500 of profit I can show you. I can show you the tables. I can show you the math, the statistics behind it. So hit me up in the comment section or in Telegram. Let's, kind of catch up and talk together. Let's see. Let me see if we have any kind of comments. Okay, no comments yet. No questions from the audience. Not at the moment. All right, but nevertheless, okay, let's continue with our thought for this day. All right, so when we're looking at leading indicators, we are able to kind of understand certain trend strengths and trend reversals. All right, so let's go through. For example, I want to say that D. Let's kind of hide the other one so there's no confusion. But demarker and where is it? Shaft trend cycle, they're pretty much the same. They have a range, right? This one's 70-30, this one's 75-25, and basically they're telling you that when the asset goes from the outside of the line and it touches the top right, like in this case right here, so it breached and you're like, woohoo, awesome. When it touches the line from the outside, it kind of implies that the trend that was, going up for a while is finally coming to an end, and there might be a pullback, right? So at least a pullback, right? So we see that, right here it did that as well. It kind of went lower, right? But it's not really as, I don't know, maybe drastic. It's not, as volatility is not really high in this case. The candles are small. It did the same thing here. Right, so during any kind of upward movement, this one's very gradual, very slow, right? Almost sideways, slightly higher, sideways, slightly higher, sideways, slightly higher. But, that's why it kind of touches here. But look, in Chef, it's the same thing. When it gives you a signal when the when the line breaks or kind of reverses and it touches from the outside, it kind of tells you that the next candle or two might be of different color, or there might be that, the trend reversing, right? So there was another signal here. I don't know. It looks actually really small right now, maybe just because my monitor is much smaller. I'm on my MacBook Air, and so maybe it looks a little more tinier. So, this movement right here would have been bigger. Well, it seems bigger, but with more indicators, the graph gets compressed, and maybe it doesn't look quite as impressive. But the idea is that it's very simple. The trend reversal indicators like demarker, shaft trend cycle, they're usually, as I mentioned, they're usually leading indicators. Bears and bulls power. Actually, with these two, it's also interesting enough. We'll go into greater detail about each and every one of them. But they look very similar. I like to turn them into histograms, right? So when you click on the color, you're actually able to kind of change it on the histogram, and bears I usually make red, right? So there we go, I save it like this. Bulls I make, green, but still make it into a histogram instead of a line, and, the signals, they come during the crossings. There's, when you get three increasing candles in a row, you kind of get an idea that, or, crosses the histogram, you kind of get a signal. But also, these are some of these indicators that you will pick and choose. You'll be able to spot a trend that keeps going upwards, but during any trend that goes upwards, you will be able to see with other indicators that there's time for a pullback, right? What is a pullback during a trend? You're absolutely right that pullback during a trend is people taking out their profits, right? So there's somebody that opened a position here, made some good money here, and they're like, I'm going to close my position, take my money out. Whoosh, there's a pullback. All right, so opened here, it closed here, and I'm going to take my money out. And there it is. That's exactly why any kind of trend that goes up, it cannot go up without pullbacks. And so some of these indicators will show you when that time might be coming. So trending indicators, I do like trending, right? We've got any kind of moving average, right? Simplest, or actually, you know what? I have it already here. There we go. Where's my moving average for There it is. This is a 10-period moving average, right? So essentially what it says is that any time the asset is above the line, it's got higher chance that the next candle is going to be green, right? Anytime it crosses that line, well, if it's on under, then, once again, the idea is that it's got higher chances of being red, right? Maybe when it seesaws it, I mean, this is not really something that's ideal, but when it seesaws it, maybe you wouldn't wait. But let's see if we got, there we go, right? So when it crosses, it's got a chance for a pullback, but the idea is that it could be under. While it's under the line, you got a higher chance for a red candle. When it's above the line, you got a higher chance that there's going to be a green candle. So wait until they're above, and then open positions. Simple as that. When it crosses, there we go, then, open positions for a sell. So one of the easiest things, but it also kind of tells you when, if there's a trend, you can put the support and resistance levels and kind of keep an eye out on a, simple moving average. Combination of simple moving averages, right? We got like red and green. This one, the green one's for 10, red one is for 20. And it gives additional signals when it crosses, right? That there's possible trending moves. But you also can put support and resistance levels, and you can kind of get additional thoughts. Actually, support and resistance levels, I'm going to go into a greater detail about this with you guys on Monday. All right, on Sunday I should be back already, at my home studio. And on my big screen, I'll show you how to set these up because the breakout strategies are awesome. And truth be told, I can't live without I can't live without support resistance levels. I always draw them. But anyways, so we see moving average combinations. We actually have one indicator that has all, three. Right? If we got an alligator, and alligator, if we look at settings, it's got the period of 5, 8, and 13. For some people, this might be too little, right? Too little amount of information that determines whether the asset is going to go up or down. But the idea is when the lines are tangled together, the mouth is closed. When the lines open up, into upwards or, downwards direction, we do have an idea that there is a trend forming, or trend forming and going. So once again, depending where you're looking at this with a shorter or longer time period, all right, there we go. So here the mouth was closed, here it started to open. We can understand that there was, maybe starting from, I would say, around here, right, around 1450. 1450, let's take a look at 1 minute candles. 1450 about here, that there was indeed a relatively good support level. The alligator is also showing kind of an incline. You could have opened a whole bunch of positions during a short period of time with a higher probability for a green candle. Right, so probably, once again, we'll come back to the fact that everything in trading revolves around probabilities, and you don't want to go willy-nilly without proper money management. Also something that we'll discuss later. So today we're talking about trending indicators, and I would say the trending indicator, one of the popular ones. And I've mentioned I talked to a lot of people over, oh goodness, since 2012. Once I started talking about leveraged instruments, working for two brokers, I think I talked to thousands of people, and so everybody's different. Everybody needs to pick their own way that they trade. Actually, we got like a relatively decent resistance level with 1, 2, 3, kind of possible 4, 5, 6 point contact. If it does break through right now, we do have an opportunity, kind of an understanding that it might continue to break through upwards, but if it bounces back, it should continue to go down much lower. We actually have maybe we could even say we have a channel here. Let's see if we do. All right, there's that. Remove. And yeah, I think that we actually have like a relatively nice channel right there. So it's bouncing back and forth from top to the bottom like a ping pong ball. Pew, 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 pew. And so yeah, if it's going to go down, it's going to continue to go down. But I would be waiting until I see a breakout. Right, so right now it's in the middle. If I open the $10 position, right? Actually, let's do that, right? Let's do that. Let's open a $10 position for a downward move. It's already too late, right? I should have opened it a bit sooner. But you know what? With proper money management, it really doesn't matter. We are able to deduct. You know what? Every time I'm with you guys, I'm going to be opening some money. I'm going to get some some trading done, so that you guys see certain things in action. But if this one doesn't go through, you know what? I'm actually going to wait. We're still going to be on here for a little bit. I'm going to wait until I see a breakout. All right. Actually, this is not enough information. Maybe we get a parabolic here. Parabolic says sell. All right. So I'm actually still. You know what? I'm still going to go. I'm going to go to the $50 next one. And as soon as this one closes, I'm going to sell a third one. I do believe that it should be going downwards a little bit lower. So after a big candle like that, as I mentioned, I should have opened a bit sooner. But when a big candle like that, you don't really want to open it, past half of the movement from, between this particular channel. But 2-1, there we go. I'm going to open another one, and maybe, I should consider a fourth one, but probably not going to go beyond that. So there was a trending move. If we're looking at indicators like alligator, right there it is. We do see that it did open. It does, combination of certain moving average lines is something that's going to allow you to understand whether the trend is continuing. What I also like to understand if the trend is strong. We do have ADX and we do have ATR, which are really interesting indicators with regards to trends and trends reversals. Because when there's a particular, like middle line right here, and anytime it breaches it, goes higher, you see that the candles become bigger, right? So this one, ATR, average true range, is often said that it's, kind of like a volatility indicator. It shows whether, all right, and by the way, yeah, we made some money together, right? So during today's, I've lost $30, but I've won 46, so $16 in my pocket, with pocket in my pocket. Anyway, so I don't like to win during these kind of small volatility candles. These are something that make me nervous. So sometimes I'll turn this on to see what kind of probability of a volatility really is at that particular moment, so that I can open candles, open positions, and there would be a big candle, right? A big win instead of these tiny little, forget-me-nots. And the other thing, right, so the other indicator we got here is ADX. How is it related to a trend? Well, it tells you when the trend has possible, like, a serious momentum. And to show you that, to maybe highlight that, I think that I would want to change this to green. Wait, green. Change this to red. Get this for a 2-point. There we go, and there we go. All right, so understand the ADX line, in this case, it's the orange one, right? And basically what it says is that there's this percentage right here. Most people will believe that once it's 20% or higher, right? So at this point, looks like it's building momentum, building steam for a downward movement, right? Or at least it's a starting point. That's when there is a serious kind of probability for a trend movement. When this is above 20%, and it goes up there with a green line. Obviously green in this case goes an upward movement, a bullish movement. Right, so it's going upwards, we understand that the trend is very strong, but at a certain point, in this case right here, it started to go down and the trend is over. So at that point, it started to saw it sideways. We actually got a 3-point contact, 1, 2, 3, and on the fourth one, it broke through. So, support level here, kind of going upwards, a pinching motion. So what we see is that, certain asset behavior in terms of the graph, and other indicators that are confirming that, hey, the trend is strong, right? You got support level here going upwards. You see that there is a ADX line is going up with the green one. versus, there we go, versus maybe right here where it's at 20%, somewhere around here. It keeps going up with the red line, right? Meaning that the red movement gains momentum, right? And this is why you got a whole bunch of red candles right here. So leading indicators like ADX, leading indicators like, well, actually any really in this case, well, no, I wouldn't say Arun, but I would say accelerator oscillator also can tell you once it crosses the histogram, and usually people open it on the second bar after it crosses the histogram for a short position. Well, also can give you a moment of them to understand when the trend might be reversing. So leading or lagging indicators, we got moving average lines, right? So we got a combination, like, right, in terms of alligator, or you can set up your own alligator with your own, periods. I got a 10, 20, and 50. Alligator, as I mentioned, has like 5, 8, and 13, much smaller. We do have parabolic SAR, one of actually, probably hands down one of my favorite indicators, but it doesn't have to be yours. Also, kind of, has that ability because it says that as long as the dots are on the top, you got a significantly higher chance of seeing a red candle. It's never going to be always, and there are moments when you're going to have like 4 or 5 false signals from this, but that's why we don't use only one indicator. But I would say that, yeah, this one is a trend reversal. So as soon as it changes to the bottom, you got an idea that there might be a trend reversal coming as well. So nobody kind of tells you that you don't need to use support and resistance levels. This is something that, I think is a must. Let's see, what other indicators we got here? I mean, do you guys have any kind of favorite indicators? Anybody wants to kind of hop into a chat? And give me, okay, so no chats on YouTube. Nobody left a comment yet. But that's okay. As I mentioned, you guys are, we're still, yeah, we're still doing this. Every single weekday we're going to be doing this. We're going to be getting this information to you. Alright, so yeah, we're going to be getting this information to you every single day. And so yeah, let's kind of hop back into the platform. Alright, ADX and ATR, as I mentioned, these are great indicators to kind of give you an idea if the volatility is there, what kind of candles are going to be, big or small. There's going to be, maybe a higher probability of a trending move. I would say that CCI is also one of these. Right, so when CCI touches a top line, right from the middle, right, it touches the top line. This one kind of, in my opinion, is like more like a momentum indicator, right? It shows you if there is enough momentum. If it touches the upward line, the momentum, in this case, the signal says that, yeah, the momentum is high enough that it's going to continue to go upwards, right? If it touches the bottom line or if it breaches the bottom line, same thing, right? It kind of tells you that there's a higher probability for a downward movement. Now, I think that, I don't know, what did we discuss here? There was with alligator? Yeah, so there was with alligator that, nope, there was something else. It was a different indicator that we mentioned that showed these several, big red candles in a row. Alright, so trending indicators versus trend reversals indicators. So a CCI, in my opinion, would be a good idea to see if there is a, kind of momentum building and continuing, right? So when it's above to positive 100 versus negative 100, you are able to kind of understand if there is going to be continuation. All right, RSI. Oh, RSI. Actually, as I mentioned, leading indicators in this case, they kind of maybe take the top because they show you where the market is going to be might be in the near future, right? So when in the RSI example, anytime it touches the 70 line, it shows you that the asset is overbought, all right? So that there might be a pullback, right? So it touches the 70 line. There was, kind of like a few candles, a bit of a pullback. It touched this, actually breached the 70 line. Well, there was, as you can see, there was a whole bunch of pullbacks as well. But it's not always the case, and sometimes it can come close, but in this case, there was still a pullback. So happy level is somewhere in the middle, overbought or oversold. And when it touches the overbought, generally people will try to cash out. And if it touches the oversold, then generally people will try to buy in. And, as I mentioned, something that I cannot possibly live without. And man, we actually have like a really, kind of exciting opportunity here. We got one, two, three, uh, kind of like 3.5, 4, 5, kind of like 5.5, but we kind of count this like not really where it touches and goes away. We usually put the line across the body, but nevertheless, this is also kind of exciting when it breaks through. And I think that here we put a channel, all right, we put a channel, but it does look like the channel is now, it has an additional level. All right, and we understand that this trend might be coming to an end, right? We got a 1, 2, and possible kind of like a 3-point contact, so it's being squeezed. And when it pops, chances are it's going to pop on the top side, because it's been going down for quite, for some time, right? So we started talking at 1600, and so for now it's almost an hour now. There's 61-minute candles here that has been going downwards with pullbacks, all right? So once again, kind of an interesting situation unraveling here. Let's see. Fractal chaos bands, this is something that I would say is something that people use for a reversals, right? So it's going to, anytime it breaks through on the chaos bands, chances are it's going to continue to break through. But we do have false signals like this one. It broke through on one and came right back in on the second one. So this is something it's a little bit, it looks the same, but it actually is different from the Bollinger Bands. And there it is. There's the Bollinger Bands, right? Let's see if we can zoom in. Same thing, but Bollinger Bands say that if it breaks the bands, chances are it's kind of considered outside of its normal price range, and it's going to want to go back inside. Right, so it breaks out, closes the candle outside, chances are the next candle is going to want to go back in. So not really one of my favorite indicators, but you know what? It is one of the most popular indicators when conjunction with RSI. Bollinger Bands and RSI is probably the most popular indicator pair for leading and lagging that there is. Alright, so as I mentioned, I'll go into greater details about every single one of them, but just, the thought today that I wanted to kind of cement is that if you're looking for trend reversals, you might be looking, waiting for a while. But if you want to kind of open more positions, you kind of want to spot a trend starting, right? So, even with pullback indicators like or trend reversal indicators like demarker and shaft trend cycle. This is something where parabolic SAR, you actually have like a really good combination with this. Right, so you see that there was actually a buy signal right here. It did go higher, but parabolic says that it's pressuring it down. We actually probably this would have been a good sell position. We got parabolic says that it's going to go, that it's going to go down, and we do have a sell signal from shaft trend cycle, right here on the previous candle. And I think that, as I mentioned, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth point contact. If it's going to break through this level, chances are it's going to go down. Where is it going to go down? It's higher likelihood going to go down to this support level before bouncing away. But we still got like 2 seconds. All right, there we go. And as you can see, there might be a green candle. So it is being squeezed, right? As I mentioned, 1, 2, 3, that's it. We got a fourth point contact actually here as well. So as I mentioned, this particular situation is becoming more interesting. So I'm probably going to take advantage of that with you guys as well while we keep chatting about other indicators. All right. So MACD, right? As I mentioned, this was also kind of like a nice indicator with regards to trending, right? So, you can see that from here, from this point right here, when the signal line crossed the MACD line, when the histogram crossed the zero line, and, we are able to kind of spot a downward trend. But now you see that it's kind of like mixed and it's going sideways. So we are sawing a particular level, but as I mentioned, it does look like there should be a pop soon. And I want to say that it should be on to the top, but I'm not clairvoyant. I'm just basically able to read the signals. Right now, they're telling me that the asset is still sawing through this. So MACD is actually a good trending indicator in my opinion. We got shaft trend cycle, and if you're trading on a bigger screen, this is actually something that really kind of comes alive. Also kind of tells you when the trend might be reversing, and there's a bit of conflicting signals. But as I mentioned, in about 2-3 minutes, there has to be a breakout strategy. I do also have a video on YouTube, a short video on YouTube about this. Kind of made me very quick, 8%. And not really quick actually, but in a short video, we made sure that it's quick. Anyways, all right, so yeah, let's continue. All right, so let's actually go down the list, right? We got accelerator, oscillator, it's a leading indicator. I would say, good enough to show you a little pullbacks. Arun, this one also, I think that would be within a trending move, something good that would show you a pullback instead of a full trend. Right, but if we look at these trend reversals with something like ADX, right, or CCI or parabolic, there it is. We'll be able to understand that if there is a possibility for a higher likelihood of a trend, right, where you can open 15, 20, candles positions every single minute, and make your daily quota, and that's it. All right, so what do we got here? I got $10. Let's go to 20 because it looks like it could be losing, but we got 7 more seconds. So as soon as it closes, I'm probably gonna go up again. There we go. All right, next one. So it touched and it's bouncing back. It's just kind of like followed through on the parabolic, but it does look like it does have also another chance. Look, it went to the top. It does have a chance to break through this support level and continue to go down. It does happen. I'm probably gonna wait a little bit though. Yeah, there we go. We're gonna sell this position, so it looks like it might go lower. But just in case, we go for the fourth. What do I usually go? I go 120, 50. Oh, I kind of went to 50. And 150. Usually I don't go beyond the fourth step martingale because usually is not something that ends well. But yeah, alright, so there does look like in about 4 seconds it's going to close. If it's going to close here below it, chances are higher that it's going to continue to go down lower. And we can actually maybe, I'm a little bit late already, but let's see if we can ride this wave a little bit more. However, remember that this was an active support level, and if it does go down, it might go down to this level before bouncing back and continuing to go upwards. So anyways, let's go here. Bears and bulls power. Also, I would say pullbacks. Demarker, just like shaft trend cycle, it's a pullback, but once again, it leads. All of the pullbacks, they lead to a start of a potential big reversal. Fractal chaos bands, in my opinion, definitely a pullback. MACD, trending. This is something that you can see, a nice long trend, big move, something that I like to see quite often. Okay, 1 second, 3, 2, 1. Opening another position. There we go for a sell. All right, let's continue. Rate of change. Well, also a leading indicator that does have a zero line, and we'll go into greater detail about this, but I also would say that this is something for a pullback instead of a trend. Something that tells you about a trend. Super trend, you know what? It's kind of like parabolic SAR. Yeah, you sell once the line tells you to sell. You buy Once the line tells you to buy it, the chances are of having more green candles or red candles, in our case right here, significantly higher. All right, so let's go to 50 here, the following minute, and what do we got? All right, because it could change. If it closes outside, once again, it could start that trend reversal, right? So super trend, I mean, obviously trend is in the word. We got 150 is going to be the next one. It's in the name, I guess. Super trend, so it is a trend one. Zigzag, you know what? Zigzag is underrated, but in my opinion, I don't know why I opened another one. There we go. Zigzag kind of tells you the point, is able to spot patterns. We do have maybe kind of like a head and shoulders pattern here because it spots the highest highs and the lowest lows. So in this case, if we actually drew a line like this, we could have seen, kind of like a shoulder, a head, the shoulder, and when it broke through that particular line, chances are that, it's going to go downward still. Okay, so zigzag, it's, kind of helps you spot the lowest lows and the highest highs. In my opinion, also a great kind of indicator to help you put together support and resistance levels. So it makes things a little bit easier. Alright, so ADX we talked about, it's a strength of trend, right? When the ADX, the orange line, goes above 20%, chances are that that's something that has enough momentum that is going to continue. ATR, ATR is about volatility. It's how big the candles will be. Bollinger Bands, this is also for a pullback. When it breaches the Bollinger Bands, it's going to go back into outside of its price range, so it should go back in, and you have a short-term pullback. CCI, in my opinion, is kind of like a momentum. It touches the top 100, it means that it should give you a couple of more green candles. It touches the negative 100, chances are it's going to give you a bunch of red candles. Envelopes. I love envelopes because, it very closely mirrors my love for support and resistance levels. Wait, did I win the previous trade? I'm kind of yammering. Yeah, I did. Okay, I don't know why I didn't open another one. Parabolic SAR, right there it is. It still says sell. We have shaft kind of sawing at this particular level, so we got a false breakout here on the one it broke through, and the next one it came back in. Looks like we had a second one happening right now. As I mentioned, chances are that there's going to be a bigger movement into one direction or the other. Right now, rises every time it touches this particular support level and bounces away. Even if it has a false breakout, it's still the probability of this is increased. All right, so while we're waiting to maybe foresee what's going to happen there, now envelopes, let's kind of hop in. Now envelopes is, let me actually remove all of the other indicators so you guys can see envelopes in its full glory. Now you're able to kind of move divination. Keep an eye out on the graph itself, right? So you're moving divination a little bit, deviation a little bit higher to the point where it looks like it, kind of encompasses the movement. So here it is essentially kind of like a flexible resistance level and a flexible support level right here. And once again, when we are looking at the middle line, once it crosses through, we kind of understand maybe that there is a shift. It's a moving average, right? And, we're able to see period of 14 and divination of 0.05. It's a simple moving average. And, it waits for the candle to close before it gives you a signal. So anyways, this is kind of, instead of you setting up, support resistance levels, constantly adjusting them, maybe you want to choose to use envelopes, and it's kind of like, as I mentioned, a flexible support and resistance level, leveling for yourself. All right, so having said that, let's continue. Ichimoku is probably the craziest indicator. I'll probably have to devote a whole episode to this, just that, you are able to, I would say that it is a trending indicator based on with a whole bunch of signals as well for pullbacks. But you see this cloud right here, right? So it says that essentially it dictates that when it crosses from the bottom, if it crosses the cloud through from the bottom to the top, if it breaks it from the bottom to the top, chances are it's going to continue to go upwards. When it breaks through the cloud from the top to, through, chances are it's going to continue to go downwards. So this is definitely a trending indicator, though it looks super complicated. We are still able to take advantage of it. Momentum, once again, kind of seeing if there is, just as the word implies, you're kind of looking at a leading indicator that shows momentum of the movement. Parabolics are definitely, so wait a second, so trending, right, because it shows you the strength, kind of like the ADX as well, so it's, it should be in conjunction. Parabolics are, in my opinion, definitely a kind of like a lagging indicator to show that's a trending indicator, shows you the trend. Shaft doesn't really show trend, it shows the trend reversals, right? But once again, every single reversal could lead to a reversal of the trend. So it's a pullback, but, we could also understand that depending on how big, how long the movement was going upwards, right? So if it reverses here, chances are that, it breaks through support level, chances are it's going to, continue. So, man, look what what do we got here? We still got parabolic, did I close envelopes? Let's actually move, get the envelopes going again. Let's move it to 0.05, I said, right? There it is. And yeah, so there it is. Oh, didn't choose the right time. Alright, 0. Alright, let's kind of open it and see what we got. 37 seconds. I think that, we should be doing good. I think that this is where we might be able to see this reversal. So this would be a nice level, at which point it started to reverse. There wasn't no previous kind of seesawing this particular level, but it looks like it could be a good point to start. Keep buying with every single minute. Alright, so 25, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's buy again. There we go. Let's buy a position. Go for the next one, and usually we go to either 60, but in my case, I usually like to take a little bit less risk and go to a 50. And let's see if we can ride this. This is essentially a trending. Alright, well, let's see. If I put up a pair of shaft. Well, there we go. It did touch, so there was a buy signal from shaft right here alongside with a parabolic switch, alongside the fact that it switched over the 14 period and went to the top of the moving average, 14 period moving average. So once again, as I mentioned, there is a higher likelihood that the next bunch of candles are going to be red. Though keep in mind, somebody did open a buy position here, made some money here, so it does, have a chance for a pullback, but I still believe it's going to go upwards. So we're going to trust the signals instead of the intuition and keep opening the position for a higher movement. There we go. All right, and I'll even go for a fourth one. So I lost 10, I lost 20, I lost 10, I lost 20. I'm looking for a 50, but if I add together 50 losing loss, it's going to be like $160 if I double my losses. So that's why I usually go to just slightly more, how should I say, slightly less risk. And if I lose the 150, I usually call it in for the day. So I could lose this 50, and I could lose the next position, even though everything shows that it should be going up. The market has, with the OTC, this is our clients, pocket option clients, buying and selling. So they're the ones that determine whether the asset is going to be going upwards or downwards. And maybe not everybody's doing this logically, but maybe somebody just threw a whole bunch of money on an impulse. There we go. Alright, made money. I'm still in the green. I'm still showing you guys in the live market that this is live format, that this graph is exactly what you will see if you open Euro Dollar OTC, GMT plus 3 time around 16 through 17 for about an hour that we've been talking. Alright, so very quickly, let's kind of go through the rest of them. Shaft trend cycle, we've shown vortex, kind of the same thing with regards to crossing overs, but you can see that it doesn't cross very often, so it is something that we could use as a trending indicator, but also for short pullbacks if it does something like this. Red takes the top, means that there should be a red candle after. Green takes the top, chances are green's going to be after. Red takes the top, once again, and so forth, but it doesn't always cross. It does continue to, and while the red is on top, you keep selling. While green is on top, you keep buying. So that's it. So in my opinion, this is also a good trending indicator. So trend is your friend. Let's kind of hide these, and we'll continue to go through this. Alligator is definitely a trending indicator because a combination of moving average lines. Awesome oscillator. I would say, there's the histogram. We'll go into greater details about, the red and green histogram markings. But yeah, when there is a crossing of the histogram, chances are that there is going to be a higher few, at least, candles of that color. Bollinger Bands, definitely a short pullback, though it does have a moving average in the middle. And also you could kind of use it as a combined trending versus trending pullbacks indicator as well. Donchan candle or channels, you know what? Also kind of like envelopes. Also kind of gives you this flexibility to see the higher highs, the lower lows, when and once it touches, it usually tells you that it should be a pullback. There is, if once again we go to the settings, we see a period of 20, which is, once again, it's an SMA, right? And well, something that gives you an idea. If it's below that, it should be continuing to go below that. But once it touches the levels of breaches through, chances are that it's going to want to pull back a bit. Okay, we got fractal. Fractal, it's one of the easiest indicators to understand, but it's definitely for a pullback. It's not a trending indicator because it tells you when there's going to be a reversal. It's a lagging indicator, so it tells it to you after the candle closes. So after this, somewhere in this candle right here, this signal came up. A green arrow means sell, right? So the following ones should be red, and here it came up the opposite. It came red candle. I don't know why red is a signal for buying and green is a signal for selling, but nevertheless, that's what it is. So fractal 2, not chaos fractal bands, but fractal 2 in this case, shows you essentially a point where there will be a reversal. So we see a whole bunch of green candles for sell in a negative channel, but we also see a bunch of red candles arrows for buy during this negative channel when there will be a pullback. So during a negative channel, I would trust more green arrows. I would open positions here for sell, here for sell. I would lost here versus a buy signals, because trend is your friend, right? So fractal though is very easy. Keltner channel, once again, same thing. We'll be able to adjust it and see certain points of interest. So we'll talk, it's a lagging indicator, we'll talk about it. It's also, a trending indicator. Moving average, trending, RSI, it's a leading indicator that shows you pullbacks, but or essentially the points where it might reverse, right, based on the fact that it's oversold or overbought. Stochastic oscillator, in my opinion, is a little bit better than RSI. With the fact that it's got certain crossings. It's also overbought or oversold. 80 and 20 versus 70 and 30, though this could be adjusted in the settings. And I don't know, certain people trust this a little bit more, though it does pretty much the same thing. Shows you when there should be a pullback, not really a trending. Stochastic oscillator, right? And Williams percentage, right? Once again, this is something like a leading indicator. It tells you in the flat market conditions when there is a higher percentage of certain things happening. We'll go through this together in greater detail at some point in the very near future. So stay tuned, my dear friends. Let's see. I don't think that we had any questions, but let's see. In Twitch, there were no comments. Yeah, no comments there yet, but and in YouTube. All right, so maybe today everybody's on Friday vibe. Everybody's taking a chill pill, maybe having a bunch of beers with buddies. It's exactly what I'm going to do now. I'm gonna go and relax, catch up with some of my family members, and relax through the weekend. And my dear friends, I want to kind of, put an end to this. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. If there's any kind of, once again, questions, comments, concerns about your desire to make sure that this is not gambling, reach out to us, reach out to my team through the Telegram channel. Leave a comment under the videos. I will answer. And obviously, subscription or hitting that notification bell, something that's very important to us. So appreciate it if you guys do it. Otherwise, have an awesome day. I'll see you Monday with support and resistance levels.